The lights flickered again. Minho stared at the power display and felt his stomach drop. 2 hours of backup power remained. Maybe less. The station was dying around him, one system at a time. He stood alone in the control room of Station Theta 9. The silence pressed against his ears. 3 days ago, this place had been full of life. Scientists worked in the labs. Engineers fixed broken equipment. People talked and laughed in the dining hall. Now everyone was gone. The evacuation ships had left without him. Minho had been in the deep storage section when the alarms went off. By the time he reached the docking bay, the last ship was pulling away. He had screamed and waved his arms, but they could not see him through the viewport. Or maybe they did see him and just did not have time to come back. The void swarm was coming. Everyone knew what that meant. He walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the swarm was moving toward him. His sensors showed 13 massive ships. They looked like diseased organs floating in space, pulsing with sick light. They would arrive in less than 3 hours. Minho was 24 years old. He had studied communications at the academy. He was good with computers and radio signals, but he had no training for combat. He did not even know how to fire a gun. What could he do against an entire fleet of monsters? He sat down at his console and pulled up the distress beacon again. He had been sending it for 2 days straight. No one answered. The Tellurian military was too far away. They were fighting the swarm on 6 different fronts. They could not spare ships to save one person on a research station. Minho knew he was going to die here. The thought made his hands shake. He did not want to die. He was too young. He had plans. He wanted to see his family again. His mother made the best soup in the city. His father told terrible jokes that somehow always made him laugh. His little sister was graduating from school next month. He would miss it. Tears ran down his face. He wiped them away angrily. Crying would not help. Nothing would help. But he could not just sit here and wait. He had to do something, anything. He started searching through the station's database. Maybe there was information he had missed. Maybe there was a hidden escape pod or a weapon system he did not know about. He searched for hours, finding nothing useful. Then he saw a file he had never noticed before. The file was marked with red warning symbols. It was sealed with the highest level of security. Minho probably should not open it, but what did it matter now? He was dead anyway. He broke through the encryption and opened the file. Inside were coordinates, a radio frequency, and a long report written 847 years ago. The title made him stop breathing for a moment. First Contact Protocol. Species designation human.humans. Minho had heard stories about them when he was a child. Scary stories. His teacher had told the class about the species that was too dangerous to meet. They had come from a planet called Earth. They seemed friendly at first, but then something happened. Pirates attacked a Tellurian colony. The humans found out and responded. What they did to those pirates became legend. The humans did not just fight them off. They tracked the pirates across space. They found every base, every ship, every hideout. They destroyed everything. When they were done, they left a message for anyone who might think about hurting innocent people again. The Galactic Council had been terrified. Not because humans were cruel, but because they were so efficient. They killed like machines, cold and precise. The Council decided that humans were too dangerous. They created a quarantine zone around human space, 500 light-years in every direction. No one was allowed to make contact. All records were sealed away. Minho read the full report now. It was worse than the stories. The report said that humans were persistence hunters. They never gave up. They never stopped. If you became their enemy, they would chase you to the end of the universe. But the report also said something else. Humans protected their friends with the same intensity. They would die for people they cared about. The last line of the report sent chills down his spine. It read, "Humans are the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. They are natural predators with no equal. Recommendation: avoid all contact. Status: quarantined indefinitely." Minho sat back in his chair. His heart was pounding. The file included a radio frequency, one that humans had given to the Tellurians for emergencies. But that was 800 years ago. Did humans still exist? Did they still use that frequency? And if they did, would they even care about one scared alien calling for help? He looked at his power display again. 1 hour and 40 minutes left. The swarm was 2 hours away. He had nothing to lose. Minho set up the transmission. His hands shook as he adjusted the frequency. He had no idea what to say. How do you talk to monsters? How do you ask for help from a species that everyone feared? He pressed the transmit button and spoke. His voice cracked with fear. This is Minho of the Tellurian Research Station Theta 9. We are being attacked by the Void Swarm. We have no weapons. We have no ships. We have nowhere to run. If anyone can hear this, please help. I do not want to die alone. He released the button. The message shot out into space at the speed of light. Minho waited. The control room was quiet except for the hum of failing systems. Minutes passed. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Nothing. He had been stupid to hope. Humans probably did not exist anymore. Or maybe they did exist and just did not care. Why would they? The galaxy had thrown them away like trash. They probably celebrated when the quarantine was put in place. 17 minutes after he sent the message, his console lit up. Minho jumped. An incoming transmission was trying to connect. He accepted it with trembling fingers. A voice came through the speakers. It was female, speaking Tellurian with a strange accent. The words were careful and clear. Minho of Station Theta 9. This is Captain Yuna Kim of the human exploration vessel Wanderer. We received your transmission. Stay calm. Help is coming. Minho could not breathe. They answered. The humans actually answered. He did not know if he should feel relief or terror. Probably both. His voice came out as a whisper. You are real. You still exist. Of course we exist, the human captain said. She sounded almost amused. We have been here the whole time, just staying out of your way like you asked. But we heard your call. No one should die alone, Minho. We are coming to get you. The swarm will be here in less than 2 hours, Minho said. He was shaking so hard he could barely hold the microphone. Can you get here in time? There was a pause. Then Captain Yuna spoke again, and her voice was different now. Harder, colder. We will be there in 90 minutes, and Minho, I need you to listen carefully. When we arrive, things might get scary, but I promise you will be safe. Do you trust me? Minho did not know this woman. He did not know humans at all, but something in her voice made him believe her. I trust you, he said. Good, she said. Now tell me about yourself. Where are you from? Do you have family? And just like that, Captain Yuna started talking to him. She asked him questions. She told him stories about Earth. She kept him distracted from the approaching doom. Minho realized what she was doing. She was keeping him calm. She was making sure he did not panic. For the first time in 3 days, Minho did not feel completely alone. The monsters from the dark had heard his cry for help, and they were coming. He just hoped he had not made a terrible mistake. Minho watched his sensors as a ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. His breath caught in his throat. The human vessel appeared on his screen like a ghost materializing from nothing. It was smaller than he expected. Sleek and elegant, it looked more like a research ship than a warship. Captain Yuna's voice came through the speakers. We are here, Minho. The Wanderer is docking with your station now. My team will come aboard to get you. Go to docking port 7 and wait for them there. Minho ran through the empty corridors of the station. His footsteps echoed in the silence. Emergency lights flickered red along the walls. He reached docking port 7 just as the airlock finished cycling. Green lights appeared above the door. The seal was secure. The door slid open with a hiss. 4 humans stood on the other side. Minho froze. These were the first humans he had ever seen in person. They looked so normal. 2 males, 2 females. They wore light armor that looked comfortable rather than threatening. All of them had kind eyes. The largest human stepped forward. He was tall with broad shoulders and short black hair. He smiled at Minho. Hello. I am Daehan, Chief of Security. You must be Minho. Are you hurt? Minho shook his head. He could not find his voice. A female human with long hair tied back moved past Daehan. She had a medical scanner in her hands. I am Hyeji, she said gently. I am going to check you for injuries. This will not hurt. She ran the scanner over him while another human, a woman with glasses named Jiwon, walked to a computer terminal. I am downloading your station data, Jiwon said. We want to preserve your research. The 4th human, a man named Seokju, was scanning the corridor with some kind of detector. Minho watched them work. They moved with perfect coordination, like they had done this 1,000 times before. But what surprised him most was how gentle they were with him. Hyeji kept asking if he felt okay. Daehan stayed close like he was protecting him. These were the monsters everyone feared. You are coming with us now, Dehan said. The swarm fleet will arrive in 30 minutes. We need to get you to safety. What about the swarm? Minho asked. What about your ship? It is so small compared to their fleet. Dehan smiled. It was not a happy smile. Do not worry about the swarm, we will handle them, come on. Captain Yuna is waiting to meet you. They led Minho through the docking tunnel and into the Wanderer. The human ship was clean and bright inside. Everything looked efficient and well-maintained. Crew members passed them in the corridors. Every single one of them smiled at Minho or said hello. It was so strange. He had expected cold warriors. Instead, he found friendly people. They brought him to the bridge. Captain Yuna stood in the center, watching multiple displays. She was shorter than Minho expected, with gray streaks in her dark hair. When she saw him, her face softened. She walked over and extended her hand. Minho, she said, I am glad we got to you in time. Welcome aboard the Wanderer. Minho shook her hand. Human hands felt warm. Thank you for coming, he whispered. Thank you for saving me. Yuna smiled. Of course we came. Now I need to show you something. It might be difficult to watch, but I want you to understand what is about to happen. She led him to a viewing screen. The Void Swarm fleet was visible now. 13 enormous bioships moved through space like diseased whales. They pulsed with sickly green light. Minho felt his stomach turn just looking at them. Those things had destroyed entire worlds. Captain, one of the bridge crew said. The swarm has detected us. They are ignoring us and focusing on the station. Of course they are, Yuna said quietly. We are too small to matter to them. Taejin, activate the broadcast array. A man at the communication station nodded. Taejin had sharp eyes and quick hands. Broadcasting on all frequencies, Captain. What are you doing? Minho asked. Yuna looked at him seriously. We are sending a message, not just to the swarm, but to every civilization in the galaxy. Everyone is about to learn that humans are no longer in quarantine, and they are going to learn what happens when you attack someone under our protection. Minho felt cold. Under your protection? But you do not even know me. You do not know my people. We exiled you. Yuna turned to face him fully. You called for help. That is enough. When someone cries out in the dark, humans answer. It does not matter if we know them. It does not matter what they did in the past. What matters is that someone needs help and we can provide it. She turned back to the screen. Send the message, Taejin. Minho listened as the message broadcast across every radio frequency in the sector. Yuna's voice was calm but absolutely firm. This is Captain Yuna Kim of Earth. You are attacking a station under the protection of humanity. You have one opportunity to withdraw. This is your only warning. The Void Swarm did not respond with words. They responded with violence. All 13 bioships turned toward the Wanderer. Weapons charged with green energy. Minho knew what those weapons could do. They fired acid that could eat through any known material. We are going to die, Minho whispered. No, Yuna said. We are not. Daehan, show him. Daehan pulled up a new display. It showed the local space around them. Minho saw dozens of new signatures appearing. Ships were dropping out of faster-than-light travel all around them. Human ships, lots of them. They were already coming, Minho said in shock. Before you even found me, Yuna nodded. We have been monitoring the swarm for months. We knew they were moving toward Tellurian space. When we heard your distress call, we realized they were closer than we thought. The Wanderer was the nearest ship, so we came first. But the fleet was already on its way. A new face appeared on the main screen. It was an older human man with gray hair and hard eyes. He wore a formal uniform. Captain Kim, report civilian secured, Admiral Hajun. The swarm has chosen violence. The Admiral's expression did not change. Unfortunate. All ships, execute Protocol Shepherd. These creatures hunt the helpless. Show them what happens when they face shepherds instead of sheep. The human fleet moved forward. Minho watched in amazement. There were destroyers, frigates, and carriers. One ship was so large it blocked out the stars behind it. The swarm fleet looked big, but the human fleet looked organized, disciplined, deadly. The swarm opened fire first. Green acid streaked across space toward the human ships. Minho held his breath. But the acid never reached its targets. Point defense systems activated on every human vessel. Lasers cut through the acid streams, breaking them apart harmlessly. Then the humans fired back. What happened next was not a battle. It was a demonstration. The human weapons were precise. Every shot hit exactly where it was supposed to. Railguns punched through bioship armor. Missiles streaked across space with perfect accuracy. In less than 5 minutes, all of the swarm's weapons were destroyed, but the humans did not destroy the bioships themselves. They disabled them, crippled them, left them floating helplessly in space. "Why are you not killing them?" Minho asked. Yuna looked at him. "Because we are not murderers. We are teachers," Watch Tajin spoke up. "Broadcasting complete tactical analysis on all frequencies, Captain. Every species in the galaxy will now know exactly how to defeat swarm bioships." Minho understood then. The humans were not just fighting the swarm. They were teaching everyone else how to fight them too. They were giving away their military secrets to help other species defend themselves. One by one, the swarm bioships began to retreat. They turned and fled into deeper space. For the first time in recorded history, the Void Swarm ran away from prey. Admiral Hajun appeared on screen again. "Let them go. They will spread the word to the rest of their kind. Humanity is no longer in isolation. And anyone who preys on the innocent will answer to us." Minho sat down heavily. His legs would not hold him anymore. He had been rescued by the most dangerous species in the galaxy. And instead of feeling afraid, he felt safe for the first time in days. Yuna placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are safe now, Minho. We are taking you home." Minho spent his first night aboard the Wanderer in a small but comfortable cabin. He could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the swarm ships. He saw their weapons charging. He remembered the terror of thinking he would die alone. But then he remembered the humans arriving. He remembered Captain Yuna's calm voice. He remembered feeling safe. In the morning, Hyeji came to check on him. She brought food and asked how he was feeling. Minho realized she was a doctor, not just for injuries but for minds too. She wanted to make sure he was not too traumatized by what had happened. "I am okay," he told her. "I am confused, but I am okay." "Confused about what?" Hyeji asked gently. "About you. About humans." Minho looked down at his hands. "I was taught that you were monsters. Killing machines. But you are not like that at all." Hyeji smiled sadly. "We can be monsters when we need to be, but that is not all we are. Come on. Captain Yuna wants you to meet some of the crew. She thinks it will help you understand us better." Over the next few days, Minho met many humans. He met Sumin, the ship's xenobiologist. She studied alien life forms and was fascinated by Tellurian culture. She asked Minho hundreds of questions about his home, his family, his favorite foods. She was so excited to learn about him that it made Minho smile despite everything. "We evolved as hunters," Soman explained one evening over dinner. "On Earth, humans were not the biggest or strongest animals, but we were persistent. We could run for hours. We could track prey across long distances. We could plan and work together. That made us the best hunters on our planet." "So the stories are true," Minho said quietly. "You are natural predators," "Yes," Soman said, "but we are also natural protectors." Humans formed packs. We took care of our young, our old, our sick. We shared food. We told stories. We sang songs. And something strange happened. We started protecting animals that were not even human. We made pets out of wolves. We cried when baby animals died. We are predators, but we are also the most emotional species I have ever studied. Minho met Bora, the ship's historian. She was older with kind eyes and a gentle voice. She showed him records of human history. Some of it was beautiful. Art and music and scientific discoveries. Some of it was terrible. Wars and genocide and destruction. Humans had done horrible things to each other throughout their history. "We contain multitudes," Bora said. "We can be saints or demons. The galaxy saw our capacity for violence and feared us, but they did not see our capacity for love. We are the species that will drive for hours to rescue a stranded animal. We are the species that cries at sad stories about people we never met. We adopt creatures that could be our prey and make them our family." Minho thought about this a lot. He watched the human crew going about their daily work. They were professional and efficient, but they also laughed together. They played games. They celebrated birthdays. They were not cold machines. They were people with feelings and dreams and fears. One evening, Captain Yuna invited him to her private office. She poured him something to drink. "It was tea from Earth," she explained. "Chamomile. It would help him relax." "Minho, I want to ask you something," Yuna said. "Why did you really call us?" "You must have known the stories." "You must have been afraid." "I was terrified," Minho admitted. "But I was more afraid of dying alone. I thought maybe, even if you were monsters, you might come." "I had nothing to lose," Yuna nodded slowly. "Let me tell you something about humans. We have a saying, no man is an island. It means we are all connected. When we heard your voice calling for help, every human who heard it felt something. We felt your fear. We felt your loneliness. And we could not ignore it. But my people exiled you, Minho said. We threw you away. We said you were too dangerous to know. Why would you help us after that? Yuna smiled. Because holding grudges is exhausting. Because punishing you would not make us feel better. Because when someone needs help, the past does not matter. The present matters. You needed help. We could give it. That is enough. What happens now? Minho asked. What happens to the galaxy? That depends on everyone else, Yuna said. We sent out our message. Every civilization knows humans are back. They know we will protect the innocent. They know we will fight predators like the swarm. But we do not want to rule the galaxy. We just want to keep it safe. As the days passed, reports came in from across the galaxy. The broadcast had been received everywhere. Some civilizations were afraid. Some were grateful. Some wanted to meet humans. Some wanted nothing to do with them. But everyone was talking about what had happened. The Tellurian High Council sent a message. They wanted the humans to come to the homeworld. They wanted to apologize. They wanted to talk about the future. Admiral Hajun agreed. The fleet would escort Minho home, and humans would meet with the Tellurian leaders. Meanwhile, something strange happened with the Void Swarm. 3 days after the battle, a swarm ship approached under a white flag. Minho did not even know the swarm could communicate. He thought they were just mindless monsters. But they were not mindless. They had a hive mind, a shared intelligence across all their ships, and that intelligence sent a message to the human fleet. The swarm wanted to negotiate. Admiral Hajun listened to their proposal. The swarm wanted to establish borders. They would stop attacking established civilizations. They would hunt for resources in empty space instead. In exchange, humans would not hunt them to extinction. The Admiral's response was firm. We will accept your terms with conditions. You will never attack innocent people again. You will never raid colonies. You will never prey on the helpless. If you break these rules, we will come for you. Not to defeat you, to erase you. Do you understand? The swarm understood. For the first time in galactic history, the Void Swarm agreed to limits. They agreed to rules, because they had finally met a species that could enforce consequences. Minho watched all of this happen and felt like he was in a dream. 1 week ago, he was alone on a dying station waiting to die. Now he was aboard a human ship, watching the galaxy change around him. Humans had not conquered anyone. They had not taken control. They had simply drawn a line and said this far and no farther. The night before they reached the Tellurian homeworld, Minho could not sleep again. He walked through the ship's corridors. He found Captain Yuna standing in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Could not sleep either? She asked without turning around. Minho joined her at the window. I keep thinking about what happens next. My people will want to know about you. They will ask me questions. What do I tell them? Tell them the truth, Yuna said. Tell them we are not perfect. Tell them we can be dangerous, but also tell them we came when you called. Tell them we protected you. Tell them that humans may be predators, but we choose to be shepherds instead. Are you afraid? Minho asked. Of meeting my people? Yuna smiled, a little. We have been isolated for a long time. Coming back into the galaxy is scary. But it is also right. We were never meant to be alone. No one is. The next morning, the human fleet arrived at the Tellurian homeworld. Minho stood on the bridge and looked down at his planet. He was home, and he had brought humanity with him. The galaxy would never be the same. The Tellurian homeworld appeared on the viewing screens like a blue and green jewel. Minho felt tears in his eyes. He had not been sure he would ever see his home again. But here it was, growing larger as the human fleet approached. Captain Yuna stood beside him. It is beautiful, she said softly. Your world. I can see why you wanted to survive to come back to it. The Tellurian Defense Force sent shuttles up to escort them down. But these were not military shuttles. They were ceremonial vessels decorated with banners and lights. The government was not greeting them as threats. They were greeting them as honored guests. As they descended through the atmosphere, Minho saw something that made his heart pound. The capital city was filled with people. Millions of them lined the streets. They held signs and banners. Some said thank you in various languages. Some showed pictures of human and Tellurian hands joined together. "They came out to see us," Yuna whispered. She sounded moved. "They came to see the species that saved me," Minho said. "You are heroes to them now." The shuttle landed in the courtyard of the High Council building. When the doors opened, Minho stepped out first. The crowd roared. He had not expected that. He was just a communications specialist who had survived by luck. But to the Tellurian people, he was the first person to make peaceful contact with humans in 800 years. Behind him, Captain Yuna emerged, followed by Admiral Hajun and several other human officers. The crowd fell silent. Everyone wanted to see the humans in person, wanted to see if they really looked as normal as the broadcast had shown. The High Council waited at the top of the steps. Councilor Nari stood at the center. She was an elderly Tellurian woman with silver skin and wise eyes. When Minho had left for his research posting, she had been a junior council member. Now she led the entire government. She walked down the steps to meet them. Admiral Hajun stepped forward and bowed slightly, a gesture of respect. Councilor Nari returned the bow. "Welcome to Telluria," she said in careful human language. "We owe you a debt we can never fully repay. You saved one of our own when you had no reason to, when we had given you every reason to let us face our fate alone." Admiral Hajun replied in Tellurian, which surprised everyone. "We do not keep count of debts, Counselor. We came because someone needed help. That is reason enough." The formal reception lasted hours. Minho sat on a stage with the human delegation and the High Council. Councilor Nari gave a speech about the mistakes of the past. She said the quarantine had been born from fear, not wisdom. She apologized for the exile. She thanked the humans for coming, despite that exile. Then it was Minho's turn to speak. He had not prepared anything. He just spoke from his heart. "I was alone and afraid," he said. "I thought I was going to die. I found an old file about humans, and I was terrified of what I read. But I called them anyway because I had nothing left to lose. And they came, not because we deserved it, not because we had been kind to them, but because it was the right thing to do." He paused and looked at the crowd. "We were taught that humans were monsters. We were told they were too dangerous to exist near us. I believed those things until the moment I needed help. And then I learned the truth. Humans are dangerous, yes, but they are dangerous to those who prey on the innocent. To those who need protection, humans are the greatest gift the galaxy has ever known." The crowd erupted in cheers. Minho sat down, his hands shaking. Captain Yuna squeezed his shoulder gently. "You did well," she whispered. Over the following days, negotiations began. The High Council wanted to establish formal relations with Earth. Admiral Hajun explained humanity's proposal. They called it the Shepherd Pact. Any civilization that signed would receive human protection and military support. In exchange, they would agree to mutual defense and the protection of innocent life. "We do not want to rule," Admiral Hajun explained to the Council. "We do not want territory or tribute. We simply want to ensure that what happened to you, what almost happened to Minho, never happens to anyone else." The Tellurian High Council debated for 2 days. Some members were nervous about allying with such a powerful species. What if humans changed their minds? What if they decided to conquer instead of protect? Councilor Nari ended the debate with a simple question. "Do we have a choice? The swarm is still out there. Other threats exist. We have seen what humans can do. Would you rather they be our friends or our strangers?" The vote was unanimous. Telluria would be the first civilization to join the Shepherd Pact. News of the alliance spread quickly. Other civilizations watched carefully. Within weeks, the Vrian Consortium sent ambassadors to Earth. They wanted to join too. Then the Keltorian Republic. Then others. Some civilizations were afraid and stayed away. But many more saw the wisdom in having humanity as a protector, rather than a distant unknown. Minho found himself in an unexpected position. He was appointed as Telluria's ambassador to Earth. He would live on the human homeworld and help coordinate between the two civilizations. It was a huge responsibility for someone so young, but Councilor Nari insisted. "You understand them," she told him. "You have lived with them. You know they are not monsters. We need someone who can bridge our two peoples. That someone is you." Minho accepted the position. Before he left for Earth, he visited his family. His mother cried and hugged him. His father shook his hand solemnly. His little sister gave him a small carved stone, a traditional Tellurian good luck charm. Come home safe, his sister said, and tell the humans thank you from all of us. The journey to Earth took 2 weeks. Minho traveled aboard the Wanderer with Captain Yuna and her crew. They had become friends during his time with them. Yuna told him stories about Earth, what the cities looked like, what the oceans sounded like, what the forests smelled like. When Earth finally appeared on the viewing screens, Minho understood why humans fought so hard to protect others. Their world was beautiful. Green continents and blue oceans and white clouds. It looked peaceful, but Minho knew the history. Humans had fought terrible wars on that planet. They had nearly destroyed themselves several times, yet they had survived. They had learned. They had grown, and now they were ready to help others survive too. Minho was taken to the Earth capital, where he met his human counterpart. His name was Sunho, and he would serve as Earth's ambassador to Taloria. Sunho was young like Minho, with kind eyes and a quick smile. I think we are going to be good friends, Sunho said as they shook hands. Minho agreed. I think you are right. That night, Minho stood on a balcony overlooking a human city. The light stretched out to the horizon. Millions of humans lived down there, going about their lives, working, loving, dreaming. They looked so normal, so peaceful. It was hard to believe these were the same species that could destroy a swarm fleet with such efficiency. But that was the truth about humans. They contained multitudes. They could be gentle or terrible depending on what the situation required. Captain Yuna joined him on the balcony. She had been promoted to admiral now. In recognition of her actions during the rescue, she would be commanding the defense fleet protecting Talorian space, so, she said. What do you think of Earth? It is wonderful, Minho said honestly, and terrifying. Just like the people who live here, Yuna laughed. That is the most accurate description of humanity I have ever heard. They stood in comfortable silence watching the city lights. Somewhere out in the galaxy, other civilizations were making decisions. Would they join the Shepherd Pact? Would they stay isolated? Would they try to oppose it? Only time would tell. But Minho knew one thing for certain. The galaxy had changed forever. The age of fear was ending. The age of protection was beginning, and it had all started with one scared young man crying out for help in the darkness. 20 years had passed since that desperate night on Station Theta 9. 20 years since Minho sent out his cry for help. The galaxy was a different place now. Minho stood in his office on Earth looking out at the city below. He was 44 years old now. His scales had darkened slightly with age. He wore the formal robes of a senior ambassador. But when he looked in the mirror, he still sometimes saw that terrified young man waiting to die alone. The Shepherd Pact had grown beyond anyone's expectations. 73 civilizations had joined. The pact did not have a capital or a central government. Instead, it was a network of mutual protection. Each world remained independent. But if any member was attacked, all members responded. The Void Swarm had kept their word. They stayed in unclaimed space, hunting asteroids and dead worlds for resources. They had not attacked a single inhabited planet in 2 decades. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. The swarm was not unstoppable. They simply had never been properly opposed. Minho's door chimed. Come in, he called. Admiral Yuna entered. She was older now, too, with more gray in her hair, but her eyes were still sharp. She smiled at him. Still staring out windows, I see. Some things never change, Minho laughed. I was just thinking about how much has changed. Do you remember when we first met? I was so afraid of you. You were afraid of dying alone, Yuna corrected. There is a difference. You called us despite your fear. That took courage or desperation, Minho said. Sometimes they are the same thing. Yuna sat down across from him. I came to tell you something. The council has made a decision. They want to build a memorial. A memorial for what? For you, for that night. They want to place it on the ruins of Station Theta 9. A reminder that one person's cry for help changed the entire galaxy. Minho felt his throat tighten. I do not need a memorial. I was just lucky. You were brave, Yuna said firmly. And your bravery matters. It should be remembered. Later that week, Minho traveled back to Taloria. He had not been home in 6 months. Work kept him busy on Earth, but his family still lived in the capital city. His parents were elderly now, but still healthy. His sister had married and had children of her own. His youngest niece, a girl of 8 years old, ran up to him when he arrived. Uncle Minho! Tell us the story again. Tell us about the humans. Minho had told the story 1,000 times. It was taught in schools now. Every Tellurian child learned about the night humanity returned to the galaxy. But his niece loved hearing it from him personally. They sat in his mother's garden and Minho told the story once more. He told them about the fear, the loneliness, the desperate decision to call the monsters from the dark, and how those monsters turned out to be protectors. Are we friends with humans now? His niece asked when he finished. Minho smiled. Better than friends. We are family. And humans take care of family. His niece thought about this. Are humans still scary? Minho considered the question carefully. Yes, humans are still scary. But they are scary to bad people. To good people who need help, humans are the best thing that ever happened to the galaxy. That night, Minho could not sleep. He kept thinking about the memorial Yuna had mentioned. He decided to visit the site before they built it. He wanted to see Station Theta 9 one last time. He took a small shuttle and flew out to the barren moon where the station still orbited. The station was a wreck now. No one had bothered to repair it. It floated silent and dark against the stars. Minho docked with the station and went inside. His suit lights cut through the darkness. Everything was exactly as he had left it 20 years ago. The control room where he had sat waiting to die. The console where he had sent his desperate message. He sat down in his old chair. The power was dead, but he could still imagine the screens lighting up. Could still hear Captain Yuna's voice saying, "Help is coming." Those words had changed everything. They had saved his life, but more than that, they had saved countless other lives. Because humans had come for him, other civilizations learned they could trust humanity. The Shepherd Pact had prevented dozens of wars, stopped multiple invasions, saved billions of people, all because one scared young man had called for help, and because humans had answered. Minho returned to Earth the next day. He had made a decision. He would write a book about his experiences, not a dry historical account, but a real story. He wanted people to understand what it felt like, the fear, the hope, the moment when everything changed. He worked on the book for 2 years. He interviewed Captain Yuna, Admiral Hajun, and all the crew members of the Wanderer. He talked to Counselor Nari about the Tellurian perspective. He even spoke with a Void Swarm representative through a translator, learning their side of the story. When the book was finally published, it became required reading in schools across the Shepherd Pact. Young people of every species read Minho's story and learn the most important lesson. When you need help, call out, and when someone else calls for help, answer. The memorial was completed on Minho's 46th birthday. It was simple but powerful, a statue of Minho sitting at a communications console, his hand reaching for the transmit button. Below it, a plaque with his message engraved in 100 different languages. This is Minho of the Tellurian Research Station Theta 9. We are being attacked. We have no weapons. We have no ships. We have nowhere to run. If anyone can hear this, please help. I do not want to die alone, and below that, in smaller letters, they heard, they came. The galaxy changed forever. Minho attended the memorial dedication ceremony. Thousands of people from dozens of worlds came to witness it. Human and Tellurian children played together in the crowds. Freon merchants sold food alongside Keltorian artists. The galaxy had become smaller, closer, more connected. Admiral Yuna gave a speech at the ceremony. She talked about courage and compassion. She talked about the importance of answering when someone calls for help. Then she said something that made Minho's eyes water. Humans are often called the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and that is true. But Minho taught us something important that night. He showed us that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is ask for help, and the kindest thing you can do is give it. Years continued to pass. Minho eventually retired from his position as ambassador, though he remained an advisor. He returned to Telluria and lived quietly with his family, but he never forgot that night. How could he? Young people still came to interview him, students writing papers, journalists doing documentaries. He always made time for them. He always told them the same thing. The galaxy is full of predators and prey, but humans taught us there is a third option. You can be a shepherd, someone who protects those who cannot protect themselves. On his 70th birthday, Minho received a letter from Earth. It was from the human president. She wrote, "Thank you for trusting us when no one else would. Thank you for giving humanity a chance to be what we always hoped to be. Thank you for your friendship." Minho read the letter and smiled. He thought about that terrified young man sitting alone on a dying station. That young man had made a choice. Instead of dying quietly, he had called out. He had asked for help from the one species everyone feared. And those fearsome humans had come, not to conquer, not to judge, but simply to help, because that was what humans did. They protected, they cared, they answered when someone called. The galaxy had learned an important truth. Yes, humans were the most lethal species anyone had ever known, but they were lethal to those who preyed on the innocent. To everyone else, they were protectors, guardians, friends. Minho's cry for help had reached across the void and found the most dangerous species in existence. And because of that, billions of beings across hundreds of worlds lived in peace. Sometimes the scariest thing in the universe is exactly what you need. Sometimes monsters are really heroes in disguise, and sometimes, when you cry out in the darkness, someone answers.